Off to a great start. And we're coming to you live from the traveling Built Ford Tough studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. We are live from Giants Camp, the Quest Diagnostics Training Center, where no fans or Giants will really be here until 2:45 this afternoon. However, the Giants were kind enough to throw us some big-time guests today, and we're excited for that. 7 a.m., head coach Brian Daboll will be with us. 8 a.m., Daniel Jones will be with us. And 9 a.m., general manager Joe Schoen will be here. It is football weather out here right now. It is windy. It is chilly. There is a squeaking sound in the background that's going to drive you nuts. Trust me, it drove me nuts listening to Alan Jerry driving in, so try to ignore that as we talk sports here on Boomer and Gio live from Giants Camp. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, G. I'm doing great, and hopefully Steve Apri is paying attention because when it gets cold, he tends to,
Also when it gets warm, too. That's
when
he screws up.
Exactly.
And when it's the perfect temperature as well. It's
Okay.
also a time that he messes up.
All right. So, I'm doing well this morning. You know what this reminds me of? Yesterday, you and I were playing golf over at Bella Vista down there at Jerry's Golf Tournament, and it was hot. It was hot. It was humid, and you could really feel the heat. And then this morning we wake up, and it's got to be like 57 degrees or something.
Yeah, it's close, at least with the wind chill maybe.
But I was telling Alan Jerry before, what it reminded me of is when training camp used to break back in the day. And if you remember this, because you were at Belport High School, I was at East Islip, and we would wake up one morning and all of a sudden you'd have fall weather. And that meant practice was going to be great because everybody felt so much better because of the weather. And this is how I played. This is the last day in Wisconsin. This is the kind of weather we had when we went to play out at Sand Valley 2 weeks ago. But, it's kind of refreshing. Makes me feel like football's right around the corner.
Yeah, and part of me likes it, and part of me hates it. It reminds me of football, but obviously I don't want it to be chilly at this point. We only get a few months of warm weather around these parts, so I don't want it to go away so soon. But I think it's apropos that this morning it feels like football when we're doing a football show. And excited to talk to these guys and, another year of sitting and talking to Daniel Jones and finding out if this is going to be the year where he succeeds. He did have one of those years a couple years ago, got himself a contract, but he is back in this situation once again, coming off a preseason game where most people are going to focus on the negative stuff, but there were some positives in that game as we talked about yesterday. So they're an interesting team for our perspective. I think in the pantheon of the NFL, when people are looking at the league, the Giants are not an interesting team. But for us, I do believe, I'm not ready to say that they're going to go to the playoffs or be over 500 or anything like that, but they have an upside here that I don't believe that they had last year.
Well, I think they're at least their front seven, although they did lose McFadden, I would say that their front seven on defense, I feel like that's a really good group of players. I feel like they're going to get pressure on the opposing quarterback. And I do believe that their offense, with at least 4 or 5 new starters, and maybe more than that by the time we get here to the start of the regular season, is going to look significantly different, especially with Brian Daboll calling the plays. I think he's going to be a very aggressive play caller. I saw that in the second quarter. I've said, and I continue to say, that he's going to coach Daniel Jones very hard, because if you're going to make decisions like Daniel made at the beginning of the game, he's going to find himself on the bench. The interesting thing for me, and I'm sure they're listening right now as we speak, is whether or not Daniel Jones actually trusts Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen.
They're not. Joe Schoen's not listening. He told us at Hard Knocks, if you were to ask him to put on Sports Talk Radio in his car, he wouldn't be able to find it. That's what he said.
Okay, well,
do you believe that?
No, I don't. But I'm not going to challenge him with. Well,
maybe I will.
I'm sure you will.
That's why we're here, to challenge these guys.
Yes, But my thing is that they want to get the most out of Daniel, and in order to do that, they have to make sure that they are putting pressure on him on the practice fields, in the meeting rooms, putting the pressure on him for the entirety of a football game. And I was glad that they left him in there and let him throw. And there were a couple great throws that he made. I tend to want to look at the positive. I don't want to look at the negative. I didn't see a lot of handoffs and little dinks and dunks. I saw down-the-field throws in the second quarter, which, if you're a Giant fan, that's what you want to see. That's the one thing that the Giants don't do. I mean, they haven't done that.
Right.
And, their defense was brutal last year, but their offense was even worse.
Yes, it was, and obviously the injury to Daniel Jones was a tough one. Not like Daniel Jones was playing at the Patrick Mahomes level, but he certainly was better than Tyrod Taylor and then Tommy DeVito after that. Survey all the fine folks that are working on the program right now. See everybody. See, take a look at everybody that's here working.
I see them, yep.
All right, pick the person most likely to snuff out this rusty swing set sound that's going to be going on from now until the end of the show. Because I'm telling you right now that this is a problem. It's a problem. And I will not be able to move on because all I do, this is what are they, waterboarding? Where you're like, the thing about it is it's not so bad that a drop of water is on your head. It's just the anticipation of it happening. So now you're talking. See? You're talking, and all I'm thinking about is when is the next time I'm going to hear this pterodactyl squawk in the background? It's like somebody.
But
it's not Apria, so we can eliminate him.
Stephen Waldron would be the guy.
You think he's the guy?
I mean, isn't he like the director?
I mean, I think Sean Kennedy's probably the guy, right? He's the only one that out of Steven and him that actually gets stuff done.
Well, no, there's a lot of people get stuff done.
Well, Steven doesn't. He's just
Steven. You think he's just more of a figurehead?
He's just a loiterer.
He's a loitering figurehead.
He's sort of there. Is he actually accomplishing anything? Is a question. And see, there it is. That's twice.
I understand.
Seconds.
You just got to stop.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
You got to fight through it.
Fight through it.
Fight through it.
I mean, the listeners would probably. They hate it. I knew I hated it driving in. I couldn't even listen to Hal. Just wait. When's the next one? When's the next one?
All right.
I mean, this is it's unbelievable. It's 52 degrees. It's windy, and we got that.
Stop being such a wuss.
It's not a wuss. I'm just
man up and let's go. It's football season. We're at the Giants camp, and you just got to deal with it. I mean, you guys. I'm surprised. You take you outside, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. You're out of your comfort zones.
Well, I'm not normally. I mean, if it's that sound is just throwing me off because I'm just.
That was Eddie. That had to be Eddie.
Oh, good one, Eddie.
Yeah, that sounded so real.
I know. Well,
didn't it?
Yep. It's probably Pat Hanlon back there doing that to us.
You think so?
He's probably up early. He's just over there making that sound to screw with us. But anyway, you were saying about Daniel Jones.
I don't know what I was saying. All I know is that they're going to coach him hard. They're going to expect a lot out of him. And I was asking you, and then I said that they're probably listening to us, or somebody is.
Yeah.
And the point that I would want to know is, if I watched off-season Hard Knocks and I was the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, I'd be like, "What the f are these idiots doing?" You know what I mean?
What? What do you mean?
They want Jaden Daniels. They want Drake May. I mean, it's one thing. No, here's the thing. It's one thing. The reality is that these conversations go on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's another thing when it's out there for everybody to see. And that's the great thing about Hard Knocks. And that's why you came in that morning and you were like, I'm ready for football because of this Hard Knocks that they did with the Giants here in the offseason, watching the Giants try to build a team. And all I'm saying is that, look, it's a challenge and it's a shot across the bow once again of Daniel Jones having to put up with that.
So just to recap, you think that someone from the Giants organization is probably listening, and you think that Daniel Jones, while watching Hard Knocks, was saying to himself, what the F are these idiots doing?
That's what I would say.
What?
I mean, they obviously don't believe in me because they're talking about trading for somebody.
All right, if you're Daniel
Jones. And I think a football team is about, it's about building trust. It's about building respect. And, Daniel Jones had his best year under Brian Daboll his first year. And that was great. And I thought the trust and the respect was built up and it was strong and it was going to be great. And unfortunately, Daniel gets hurt last year. But prior to him getting hurt, the team really doesn't have the competitive edge. They're not playing with a competitive edge. And that's when the Joe Buck comment came out about Brian Daboll not wanting to have the energy. He wanted the energy to come from somebody else, meaning the quarterback. We heard about Rich Eisen talking about at the combine they were done with him, and then all of a sudden we're watching in-season or off-season Hard Knocks, and if you were the quarterback, how the hell would you feel?
I would say I have not been healthy. I've had major injuries, and these guys didn't draft me. And I'd had self-awareness. That's what it would be.
Yeah,
and
he played great for them his first year. He took them to the playoffs.
Yeah, great. He played great in one game. He had an okay season, and then he got his ass handed to him.
He had a good, solid season his first year.
And he got overpaid.
In a first year in another offense.
Yeah, right. He was okay. What did he throw, 13 touchdown passes or something?
And when these other starting quarterbacks get their deals, he's right now, 16th on the list. At one time, he was like number 2 or 3 on the list.
If Daniel Jones, you know how he thinks and he acts by now. He wasn't thinking, what are these idiots doing? He was thinking, man, I hope they don't draft him.
That was a strong word. I don't want to say idiots. I mean, that was just a reactionary word, an emotional word.
Emotional.
Me, if it's me and I'm sitting at home watching.
Yeah, but
and I'm the guy that they're talking about getting rid of and trading up to go get some guy.
Well, yeah.
I'm coming in like with the guns a-blazing.
Well, and hopefully Daniel Jones is, and he's got another opportunity to show that he can be the quarterback here, and that's all you want. But you also had way more success than Daniel Jones did in his first 4 or 5 years of his career.
This is his 6th year,
You're
starting
right,
his 6th year.
Yeah, so 5
And he's
years.
had 3 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators. It's been like a turnstile.
Is there any general manager?
Has he had any major, significant upgrades in players around him, with the exception of what we've seen this year going into this season?
Darren Waller was supposed to be one of those guys. That didn't work out. Saquon obviously been here for the majority, for all of his career.
Well, Saquon was 40% of their offense last year.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because they lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah, and they had Tommy DeVito in there who won a couple games, but obviously that offense was rough. Is there any general manager in football that wouldn't have done the same thing in the Giants' position?
I'm not saying that they would. Of course they would.
This is why I'm saying Daniel Jones probably had the self-awareness of but
what I'm saying is we had to watch it on TV, man. That is hard. That's harsh. And what do I always say about being a GM?
Ruthless.
Ruthless is right, exactly.
That's right, damn right. You got to be ruthless.
And I appreciate Joe Shane doing his job the way he feels like he needed to do it. And he's already remade this roster significantly in the last year when they finally got some money.
Yeah, what's interesting about that from Hard Knocks is, as I mentioned before, he showed us, or Hard Knocks showed us, the process behind him being asked questions at the Combine, and how he answers them and how to not step in things, which I appreciate.
Do you think he's sitting with somebody right now listening to us to make sure he knows how to answer our questions?
No, because I don't think he takes us seriously enough. That's what I think.
Oh, really?
I think that those Combine assembled, yes, that's what I think. Okay. I think that Combine assembled media, they're like, this is going to go out there, it's the draft, we can't say anything about Daniel, Saquon, all that stuff. He's got his team now. There's really not a ton of stuff that's out there that hasn't been decided yet. Like at the Combine, a lot of stuff hadn't been decided. And he's probably walking in here, and he's like, a couple weeks of the season, feet up. He's in a feet up spot.
You think his feet
are up right now. He's like, I did my work already. Draft's done. Free agency's done. I can't do anything else right now.
You'd love to be a fly on the wall right now in their offices, wondering what they think. Well, we know what. We believe we know what they think about their team, where their weaknesses lie. Mm-hmm. We think we know.
Yeah.
Because it's all over the place.
Sure.
But imagine being in there listening to the real conversations.
Yeah, we kind of did in Hard Knocks. Not all of them.
But I'm just telling you, if you were the focus of those conversations, which the quarterback position was, and rightfully so, I'm not saying it was wrong. But I'm just saying that it was so wide open, and man, I'm telling you, it creates a. Here's a word. Remember, we were talking to a guy yesterday, the fireman from New York City, the retired fire department, put $1 in the tip jar.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I was like, what? You didn't have a quarter?
Guy put $1 in the tip jar, and he was FDNY. Yeah. Great guy, nice guy.
He was good. Yeah,
he was a really good guy. And then me and Gio each dropped 5s in there.
Just to show him up.
Just to show him up a little bit. And then next thing you know, he put a 5 in there.
Yeah.
So that bartender should like us. But anyway, Remember we were talking to him about words that are barely used or never used again?
That's right, yes.
Here's a word. I'm going to use a word for you that I've used a few times. I don't necessarily know that many people use it still to this day. But, when you watch Hard Knocks preseason, you know what ends up developing? Schism.
Yeah, you know what? You are a schism guy. Not a lot of people are. You're keeping schism alive. You are.
I'm trying.
It's on life support, but
I'm trying.
You're keeping schism alive.
Yes.
I was put on the spot with that. I didn't know. He's like, what about a word that it's not used anymore? And
Schmegma.
Schmegma. That's very specific. I don't know if you can blame the times on that as much as just the situationally.
Right.
I said tallywhacker.
Yes.
And he said, what's that? Like a bat? And I said, no, it's a penis. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
That's
yeah,
all
of course
came
I
up
remember
with.
that.
That's what I came up with.
Because that's always in the front of your mind.
That's what I came up. I couldn't think of anything else. But schism's good. Schmegma's good. I don't know. Can you think of one, Al, off the top of your head?
Like a word that's not used very often.
Any more that used to be? It's tough, right?
Schween.
Schween. There's another one. Schweenus?
Schween, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have one. I got to really think about it. It's a good question.
Harken.
Harken back.
Harken back.
Yeah.
That was the word I was thinking about yesterday when he was asking me, because I remember saying the word harken. And my buddy Ziggy sent me a text that morning that says nobody uses the word harken. Now, this is about 5 years ago.
Okay. And have you used it since, until today?
Yeah, I think I have used it. And
Harken back.
And I remember telling this fireman last night that the word that I couldn't remember, but I had seen it many times after I had said it. I don't know why, because for whatever reason, you say something, somebody texts you something, and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I saw the word harken in a lot of places after that.
I think John Mary probably uses harken.
You think John Mary uses harken?
He's probably up at his office right now. I'm harkening back to the days of LT and
Phil
Carl
Simms.
Banks and Phil Simms,
Yeah, I heard Al this morning coming in talking about how he went through the front door of the building here, Quest Diagnostic Center, and he saw a lot of pictures of Phil Simms. They got him all over the place.
Yeah, he's front and center on a lot of stuff out there.
As he
It's
should be.
amazing. Why?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Why?
that was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Well, they'd like to harken back here.
They do like to harken back. They love harkening back here.
They do.
I mean, how many pictures did you count of Phil?
That'd be 3 prominent ones.
Really?
In the front lobby.
Do you want to show me?
Sure.
I'd love to see it.
All right.
Maybe we can do some graffiti on it or something. do you have a Sharpie?
I do have a Sharpie.
Oh, perfect.
Right. A little mustache on them.
Give him a little
horns.
black eye. Give him a little black eye.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, we are live from Giants Camp. We do have 3 guests on this morning. It's going to start at the top of the 7 o'clock. Top of the 7 o'clock hour when Brian Daboll joins us, and then Daniel Jones at 8 and Joe Shane at 9. Boomer and Gio live from Giants Camp.